One of our dessert recipes involves apples from Smith's Farms, and we're going to do two different ones. We're going to do an apple crisp, and we're going to do an apple cake. And so the spice apple cake, you can actually, if you just prefer to use a spice cake mix and add apples to it, you're certainly more than welcome to. Or you can make it from scratch, which is what this recipe is going to be. And we basically, it's pretty straightforward. In terms of ingredients, you have some dry ingredients, including flour, cornstarch, salt, baking powder, and then ginger, allspice, and cinnamon as your spices. And then for your wet ingredients, you have eggs, milk, butter, vanilla extract, and brown sugar. And then you can put a glaze on it. You can use a canned frosting if you want, but we're going to use a glaze that's confectioner sugar and orange juice. And again, it's a cake mix, so you want to make sure that your measurements are very precise. You're weighing out everything appropriately. A cup is a cup, not a cup and a half. Otherwise, your cake's not going to come out right. And you can put this in a bundt pan or a cake pan. Really, it's whatever you would like. We're going to use a bundt pan for it. And so let's go through this recipe. So whenever you're making a cake, you want to make sure that you start with your wet ingredients and then add your dry ingredients. So for this cake, we're going to add in our butter first. Then we're going to add in our eggs. Then we're going to mix it up a little bit just to make sure those eggs are incorporated. All right. Then we're going to add our brown sugar. We want to make sure that that is added as well. And you can certainly use a mixer if you would like. For this demo, it's easier to do it by hand. All right, so then it's very well incorporated. Then we're going to go ahead and add our vanilla extract. Then we're going to add our milk. Go ahead and, again, blend it together. Well, as you can see, it's a very wet batter at this point. Then we're going to start to add our seasonings and our dry ingredients. So we're going to add the allspice. We're going to add some ginger. We're going to add some cinnamon. And we're going to go ahead and add our cornstarch and our baking soda. And we're going to go ahead and add our flour. We want to make sure that that's well incorporated. Make sure you scrape the side of your bowls as well. Always helps to have a spatula on hand. Of course, your batter will start to thicken up at this point. And I know sometimes too, this is the point where you have family members that might want to come in and lick the batter, but you know, it has raw eggs in it, so I would advise from a food safety standpoint from doing that. Just another little tip there. And I wish you could smell this. It smells amazing. So the batter is very well put together at this point. So we want to get our bundt pan. This is just a basic bundt pan. You want to make sure that you use some sort of cooking spray or butter to line it with. Whichever one you want is fine. We want to make sure we get it out of the pan, right? So have it lined. And then we're going to go ahead and add the batter to our bundt pan. Then once you have it all combined, we of course have to add our apples to it. Now for the apples, I did peel them and core them ahead of time. And again, the reason for doing that is to make it quicker when we're doing these demonstrations. We refer to the term mise en place, which means everything in its place. And as chefs, we spend a lot of time getting our mise en place together. That way, when we cook, it's easier to get the dishes moving. So I have the apples. They are sitting in lemon juice and water, so that way they don't turn brown. And we just want to go ahead and make sure we drain them and just put a few in. Now you can put more if you would like. Just keep in mind that you're adding more moisture to the batter, so we don't want a gooey cake. I think that's good. And we're going to go ahead and put that in the oven. I would say 325, 350, and it's going to take a good 25 to 35 minutes, depending on your oven type for this one. For our cake, we want to do a nice simple glaze, and I have here confectioner's sugar and orange juice. And I just want to add a little bit of the liquid in at a time to the sugar. A little liquid goes a long way, and so sometimes you'll find yourself fighting just constantly adding more and more sugar and then more liquid. As you can see with a little bit that I added, it is extremely liquidy already. If you don't want to use orange juice, you can use, for this dish, you can use apple juice if you want. You can use milk. You can use water, although I don't really recommend water just because there's no flavor to it. I like the orange and the tang that goes along with it, along with the apple and the spices from the apple cake. So again, whatever you want to add is fine. And certainly if you want to use your own canned frosting, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Just don't tell anybody you're using it. And so you want to get it nice and liquidy, right? So basically, you don't want it too liquidy where it's not going to stick, but at the same time, you want to make sure that it's enough where it's able to spread. So here, as I mix it and lift it with the fork, you see it start to drizzle. So that's almost the perfect consistency for me. So I'm going to take my cake. Again, I fought a little bit with the bundt pan. The apples that are in the cake, again, do add some extra moisture to it. But nonetheless, it will look very pretty once you put the icing on it. I'm literally just going to take the bowl and let the icing go around the top. So I'm just going to circle it. And I'm going to let it encompass the cake. And then there you have it, a spiced apple cake.